That's all right. He's somewhat important. Um, yeah, so he's way up there, and I'm going to merge this these layers down. All right, so that's now all part of the street layer. Um, okay, so this is roughly what the pumpkin. I want the pumpkin to move down a little bit more, so that gives me space behind. So now let's go to the flow that I was talking about. Now with this game, I would like an inner circle. So like this, because I want a flipper like kind of right here. But that's not going to fully work with how I want it per se. So probably more over here, because I want to flow around the guy this way. I want a flow from this flipper all the way around an orbit back to this flipper. I want to flow from this flipper. And now the interesting thing is with this orbit, I want this orbit to come in, right? So from this left flipper, I want this orbit to come in, get hit by this flipper, wherever it needs to be, or whatever makes sense, to then come around here to a ramp back to this guy. Okay. So that gives me a inner circular flow going that way. Now, talking about this other flipper again, this flipper comes around, which means there's going to need to be some kind of drop ramp over here somewhere, right? Whatever that means. This flipper also, I want this flipper to be able to shoot up in here. And this, I want to go up onto a ramp to come back to this flipper. So the inner loop will bring you back to this flipper. The outer loop will bring you around an orbit. And now, finally, I want a ramp here-ish that comes down and loops around. And I want a ramp over here-ish that loops back to here, right? So that's kind of the flow I'm looking for. That way, this can shoot this ramp, loop around, this can shoot this ramp, loop around, or it can do an orbit. Yeah. So now that I roughly know kind of what I want to do, street level is important. Now, obviously, this flipper right here, I had this point here to shoot. That's not quite right, right? And I don't want that. Before I'm still in flow. So I need this flipper in order for this point right here to go this way, to be further down, right? Which adds complications with this inner flow. So I think I need to pull this over a little bit to like there-ish, because now that'll give me the inner flow that I want coming in this way, as well as this outer flow. Well, the two inner shots, right? The inner and the inner outer shot for this. And that'll still give me a spot for the ramp, and the ramp over here, roughly, there's going to be a dead bumper here, dead bumper there. Now, this does cause complications for this left orbit, which is now really low over this way, which is not ideal. But, I mean, I might be able to shift things around, because right now this pumpkin is pretty far down. I might be able to shift the pumpkin up a little bit to make it more doable. Also, let me grab the pumpkin again. So with this pumpkin, if I actually measure this just to triple check what I'm thinking about, because this guy, where's my 1 inch? That is 0 inches to 1 inch. So this guy is actually 6 inches. So if I have a 7 inch, which is much smaller, measuring right now with the ruler. If I have 7 inches, that's still more than enough for this guy. And I think this guy, the size of him over in the middle, is going to be fine. So I should change this middle piece here to be 7 inches instead of 9. And that'll give me a little more real estate to play around with. I just need to make sure to find more of these. So I might just end up using this guy because, I mean, he's a little derpy, but he might work all right. I also have this one. He's all right. And I have another one, which I'll grab over here. So this guy, he actually is an animatronic that can go up and down. I made this a few years ago with a couple servos, and risers. Here's another one of the pumpkins. Again, it's the same size. So, and this guy goes back and forth. He can go up and down. So that's why I kind of know what the mech would be like to make some of these kind of work. And he has lights inside of him too. But so here's another face. This guy is less derpy, but he's more elongated, which this might work better in the back. Either way, there's a bunch of different pumpkin options that would fit, and they all have a 7-inch base. Or they have like a 5-inch base. I don't want that to fall. They all have like a 5-inch base, but I'm going to give it a 7-inch so I have more playroom with there. So let's modify this now to actually be 7. And I don't want to step on my ruler. So if this is 9, I need to remove 2 inches. So let's duplicate this. Let's hide street 1, and let's change this. So this is roughly 1 inch in there, 1 inch in there, 1 inch in there, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, something like that. And again, all this stuff will be fleshed out more correctly when I bring this into CAD. This is really just a rough sketch to make sure that all this stuff works. All right, let's get rid of some of this. Now, as you can see, this definitely gives me a lot more real estate to move around. And this also means, because this is that much smaller, I can take this whole thing and move up to like yay, which now gives me a lot more space to like rejigger these flippers and things in my flow. So this is now the new, this street is going to go away. This is the new street. And my flow can absolutely be adjusted a little bit. I take this and just shift the whole thing up a little bit, like there. Now, obviously, it doesn't fully line up with the flippers again, but that's okay. It's close enough. It at least pushes some of these things out of the way. So now the orbits are a little more orbitable. I'm actually thinking about offsetting this pumpkin to the right a little bit more because I think that might make more sense. And then the shot from here is going to be more straight up. So let's see if I do that. And just to like there. And so that shifts everything over a little bit more. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better because now I can adjust this area a bit. Yeah. Bring this back to the home position. Yeah, because this is gonna sneak in kind of around here. I want this over here a little bit more and down. This can come up. This can come in more. Yeah, all right. I like this. I like this more. Yeah, I hope my stream's doing okay. Because I have no idea if anyone's watching or not. It's just what it is. So, let's see. Let's go back to street now. Now that I roughly know kind of what my flow is going to be, I know I need. Let's kind of hide the flow. I know I need something around here. And I need now that for this to come up, this is going to come up this way. So I need that. I need space like that. And I want this. Sorry, I'm being quiet for a moment while I'm adding some of these things in. So that's got that. This can't make that very easily, so I gotta shift this over a little bit. Okay, so now this can easily make it up into there. Easily make it up into there. This needs to be a little more curved. So that is going to come up this way. That's not all that ideal. Gotta think for a minute. And then this. That needs to come in more. I do want that back ramp there, so this can't go that far back. So this needs to come out like that. This goes in there. And this is all ramp right here. See, the ball is this size. Yeah, so at the top here, I have sizes for the balls and the jet bumpers and things. So the balls are roughly the size of my finger. If I take my finger and I put it on here, so this fine. little sharper, I think. A little sharper like that. More straight. Okay. All right. That's getting a little tight, but that seems decent. Problem is, I don't have a good location for the ramp that I want right here. Is that if this needs to come down here? So the ramp I want to use, actually, where did I put it? I just grabbed the ramp. So here we go. So I got a bunch of these things from Marco. These reverse ramps. I think they're from Led Zeppelin. I got a whole lot of these things. I got another ramp too that I may or may not be able to use. And actually, given the space on the right, I might be able to. Let me go get the other one. All right. Here's the other one, also from Led Zeppelin. So this one is probably going to be on the left side. And this I'm going to have low enough on the right side. Right, this reverse thing. So that I want the reverse thing somewhere over here. And this is, take a rule. Stop dropping things, mate. Take a ruler. This needs to have two 2.25 inch width. So 2.5 inch width realistically for this one. And this needs 2.5. They both need 2.5 width. So that makes life a little more convenient, but I still need to deal with 2.5 width. And luckily enough, up here at the top here, hey, look at this. I got 2.5 right here. So if I make this green, this is 2.5. And now Control C, Control V. Let's move this down. Can I easily grab this, or is it going to grab that? It's going to grab not what I want. What makes sense for this? If this is flat right with the player, that's not shootable. So that it's going to need to be diagonal a little bit. Like yay. So this is what I need to deal with. Over style, adjustment, range, image. Oh, flip horizontal. No, that's not what I want to do. Be a little awkward, so that's got to kind of go. Yeah. And I want this to live like right behind the flipper here. However, it would be kind of cool if this was actually way the hell up here. Then I could rotate this more orthogonal again. It's a waste of space up there. Take this. Yeah, this might be kind of cool if I can swing it. So that goes there. I don't think that's gonna work because that ramp is too long. This ramp is 10 inches long. So if I take, well, this is 7. That's going off the back. Be here for that to work. Oh, that's too bad. Well, I can pull this. I can still have this down here. Like here. So then if this is 2 and 10, yeah, that'll send that way back there. Yeah, we'll try that. Is this there is people watching, but I don't see it in my actual stream view, which is really lame. So I'm sorry. How do I? Come on. Sorry, folks. I'm trying to figure out where all the comments are, so this will take a moment. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I can finally maybe see comments. Let me see if I can bump the mic volume up. Hold on. I think if I do this thing and pull this up, is the mic volume a bit better now, folks? Well, I can see text show up on the screen because I'm looking at a different live stream version of this now. So hopefully people can hear this. I have no idea why I wasn't seeing what like actual folk. Okay, cool. Thank you, Bradley. All right, cool. Um, so there are people watching this. Amazing. I had no idea. The pumpkin may eat the ball. I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not gonna say yes. So we will say we will see. There are difficulties with the pumpkin eating the ball, of course, but I'm not gonna say no. Just don't expect it. All right, where was I? Yeah, all right. So straight ramp here, straight ramp here, here. This ramp back here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing that. This whole thing might need to come closer, which might be okay. If I pull the entire street down, uh, like this, that gives me just a little bit more space, but then that kind of fucks a lot of things up. Um, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that. Maybe if I just give myself this much more space, how does that? All right, so this is still fine. This is really tight. Oh man, that left or that right orbit is being a problem child. All right, I'm gonna leave it as this for a minute. Pull this whole thing down a little bit so I can kind of see what it's like. Yeah, this right orbit's either gonna be really low or just not gonna. Hmm. Well, I suppose this thing, this loopback ramp could be this thing over here. That really changes the flow of what I want to do because now this isn't going to loop back this way. This is going to loop back across. Well, I guess it could loop back across over there. This loops back across. That'll actually solve this problem too. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right, I'll do that. And then when this ramp is gone here, I can widen that up a little bit. And that still allows for this inner loop. Ooh, geez, I didn't want to do that. That still allows for this inner loop here to be adjusted a little bit more. Yeah, I'm more interested in the World Series. Woo! Yay, go me. Anyways, so I can still get this in and around. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna do that. So this here is gonna become this thing, and that I think is going to solve some problems, which means this narrows a little bit here. like yay. This is how long. This is that's centimeters. I don't want centimeters. 6 inches. Well, less because he's got the lift over here. Oh, actually, that works out really well. Okay, that works out really well. Because if this is a lift, and actually I need to get rid of this. No, I don't want to delete you. I want to move you. I'm gonna rotate you orthogonal. Move you to. Yeah. Okay. 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 That goes like yay. This street. This can now widen a little bit to come down like yay. Right? So that gives this more of a direct shot here. This, if this goes in here, this is going to ricochet right back that way. That's not ideal. I want that to go up. That goes there, then that goes up. Actually, that doesn't need to be orthogonal, does it? It can. Well, if I rotate that way, you know what? It might be better if I pull this guy down more. So because that still doesn't block this shot. More like this. This can still make it that way. That ramp is now a little more difficult, but I can pull that ramp down. That's no big deal. That's no big deal. Yeah. If I pull that ramp down more, it's still perfectly shootable. This orbit is still... Oh, this orbit's going to be a little tight. But that's probably fine, unless I'm thinking about this wrong still. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a few minutes. So, with this lower... First off, this now has a much wider spread to get in there, which is good. And then this, still going to ricochet right off of that, which is not ideal. It's there. Normal was there. That might be... We'll go like that. Yeah, it's not really ideal, is it? Sorry about all my chicken scratches. I'm just trying to figure out the right angle for this thing. This I want it to be more like this. If that's the normal, then that's the ricochet. Well, I can force that by pulling this down a little bit. So that now you can't... Ball can't really get up there. Ball can... Okay, yeah, that fixes that. That makes this a little bit more diagonal there. And let's see. Has this on refresh? Okay. I can never tell what's a chat and what isn't a chat these days. That reflects up. This is a loop back, so this basically turns into this here-ish. And under here, so this has a post kind of like that. But if that post is here-ish, what's that? That post will work pretty well as it is. this needs to curve more. I really want this to curve more. That. This is going to come, it's going to hit there. It's to be there. Okay, so along here, that's a diagonal. I want this to be a diagonal along here. If that's a diagonal, then I can have a ramp right here. A straight ramp. These ramps don't need to be very high. They only need to be about an inch and a half, 2 inches, inch and 3/4, something like that. Problem is right here, because I need this to go, you know, smoothly into that, and currently it would not. This needs to be more flat. Okay, yeah, that can be flat. This can be a little more flat. Because this is a lift anyways. That. So now that that's a little flat, that'll go in and that'll ride up this and around here. And then this is a ramp here. This whole piece here. What I don't like, well, I guess it can be like a diagonally cut ramp, right? Kinda. Not a big fan of those, to be honest. But, you know, c'est la vie. It's gonna curve it. If that curves too much, that'll be problematic. It's down here. Did my stream freeze? Is my stream frozen? What's going on? I can't tell half the time with this stupid thing. Facebook streaming sucks these days. Yeah, I can't even see my working stream anymore. I don't know. Facebook really doesn't want streamers to react to live chats anymore. It's kind of stupid. Maybe I can see it on this. Sorry, I really would like to respond to you folk, but it's just not possible right now with Facebook. Unless I'm just setting something up wrong. Let's kill this. What's going on? Let's kill that. Let's see if this is gonna... No, I don't know. I can't see... I don't know. I can't see. Okay, well that's. I I don't know. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm not going to be able to respond to folks. So this needs to go up this way. On the street, right? Yeah. This is a ramp. See my ball size. That is too small. That is what like here's the size of my ball, which is about the size of my pinky. No, that'll be all right. That'll be fine. Once I clean it up, that'll be fine. I don't like the diagonal cut there though. All right, so this is gonna go in here. And direct that more. That goes up and around. That ramp, I'm gonna um that's kind of my limit there. This is that ramp, right? Yeah. All right. Let's pull you down more. Let's pull you down more. That actually might work okay. And I think I actually need to stretch this out a little bit more because I think this is actually a little more elongated than I was drawing it. Um, okay, so if I take this, that's bad. That does not have as big of a thing here, so like that. How does this ramp curve? So if this ramp curves like, yeah, so that's gonna need to rotate more. More like that. That's just gonna make it over on the edge there. That works well now for this whole back section. That's good. Now let's go to, I'll call this left ramp. Hey, left ramp. Left ramp. What the hell just, oh my God. Left ramp. Come on. This is gonna be right. Ramp. Not tamp. Right ramp. There we go. Okay, left ramp, right ramp. This right ramp goes like this, over and like this. And it has the little nubby here. Okay. And it curls back right here. So now I have those ramps defined. I need back ramp. Which is going to be this. All right. So for the exit points of those ramps, let's use red. So this ramp comes around. Might as well use that far side there. Ultimately, this ramp needs to be here. Here. And this is going to loop into this. You know, I'm still not a fan of that, but that makes the most sense for flow. I really wanted this to loop around this way. But if you do loop, loop, then you can loop over here, or you can loop in the end. Oh, that could actually be kind of interesting now that I'm thinking about this. If this comes down, but this side does an S turn here. So that would give 2 lefts. 2 left ramps. Returns. 1 right ramp return. But the right ramp can be gotten from the upper flipper or the lower flipper. The left ramp returns would all be from the right flipper. But also the left flipper loops around to the upper flipper. All right, let's bring this down here to this. So there's definitely that. So I guess the big question is where does this back one go out to? Because if the back one goes out here, I'm not adding a diverter up here to swap it back and forth. It's not going to happen. I kind of like the idea of this just looping back, coming this way. But that's also going to complicate the build a lot. I'm trying to keep this build somewhat simple. And it's already a little more complex than I want it to be. What would be the correct choice for this? No, I think this is the correct choice, and I'll explain why. So, this left flipper will be able to backhand this ramp. So it's a repeatable shot backhanded, back to itself. It's forehandable to the other flipper. This ramp here is not backhandable from this flipper. It's going to hit here and it's just going to rattle like a son of a bitch. So I'm going to need to protect against that. But this is not repeatable here. So I have no way to get back to this flipper from this flipper except around here. So there's my answer. So the left side can swap to the right side. The right side can swap to the left side. The left side can stay on itself. The right side can stay on itself. Yeah, I think that's my answer. I think that's what I've decided. All right, so that makes this an annoying form to make, but you know, say it will be. Yeah, say it will be. Okay, so that's those. Go to the street for a minute. And yeah, that goes in right there. This now has post here, goes up like that. There's a row of targets here, which is probably going to be about 4 targets. 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's gonna maybe 5. No, it's definitely gonna be 4 targets. There's definitely 4 targets there. Now we need more than just 4 targets, obviously. So over here, and I have no place to stop the ball right now. I can actually add an up-down post like right here, so I can stop the ball if you loop over on that side. So that'll be another purpose to looping on that ramp, because everybody's going to want to loop and do this. Yeah, so right here, I can add another target. And that won't block that orbit much. Do the typical. So that's an adjustment post. So you're an actual post. I can get a target over here. I can get a target over here. They're really low, but they're hittable. I might. Excuse me. I might be able to get a target here, but I think that's pushing it. I know I can't get a target here. Yeah, I mean, if I put this target here, then this orbit is way too tight, so I'm not going to have targets there. Yeah, I mean, that might be it. It's a simplish layout. And this obviously comes in and it drops down. I mean, a simplish layout, but it looks like it could be fun. There's only 5 targets, though. That's pretty bad. Well, 5, 6. There's 7 targets. That's pretty bad. It's a very shooty game, I guess. If I put a bank of drop targets right here, that will add expense for sure. And there can be a hole behind it, in theory. And it'll ricochet less. And if I do that, I should just get a 3 bank there. Actually, you know what I can do? I can have a 3 bank of drop targets over here, but then I can have a couple stand-ups around them. What does that get me, though? Unless we shoot into the pumpkin. If that's something I want to do. then where would it come out of? They don't have a scoop anywhere. I can't put a scoop over here because I have a down post. I could put a scoop over here. Like I said, I don't want a diverter back here, so I'm not going to do a lift ramp or any kind of diverter or weird thing. I don't want to use a drop target or a single drop target. That's expensive. I only have one good loop, don't I? Just this loop. Like, this middle loop doesn't even loop. I don't like that. No, I don't like that. It's this way, right? This can't go over there. I really don't like that because it doesn't feel fun. When I'm playing it doesn't feel fun. This loop is fine. But then there's no way to pass the ball. Christ. If this loops to there, you can't, from the left flipper, you can't pass the ball to the right flipper. Because I don't have the space down here for a ramp. Unless I don't care about this being hittable down here. If I don't, then I can do my original design. And pull that way the hell down. But then that also screws my orbit up. Well, does it screw the orbit up? No, maybe it doesn't screw the orbit up. Hang on. Sorry, I'm floundering on this. I'm just trying to figure out the right way, the right flow for this based on what I'm stuck with. The right ramp, that's this one. I take the right ramp and pull it down like here. That post on the left side sucks. But maybe I don't need to use that, because if this is mounted really tight, I'm looking at this thing again. This has the little thingy on the left. I really want it on the right. But I can use this for something else. I know exactly what I can use it for. All right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of space underneath that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Still hit the pumpkin. Still going. Yeah. 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 Let's do this. Let's do this. This now comes all the way down here. This doesn't have a target. This comes all the way over here. So this is only hittable there. This has a post. This has a post. It's a thing. So that orbit is really bloody low. But that's okay, I think. You are gonna come around one, but if I do this like here, um, so now when that comes, that's gonna bring you over to this flipper. So, oh, that's a transfer right there. So from left flipper around to right flipper. Right. Yeah. Left flipper can hit pumpkin or can hit here back to, I mean, right flipper can hit pumpkin or around that. Left flipper can definitely get in there. That's low, but low is fine. Nothing wrong with low. And in fact, this whole thing can adjust a little bit now. This whole thing can adjust. It gives me more space. That does not come in that way. That only comes in this way now. Only goes in there. This now has this whole gaping area. To go in. And this whole thing is a ramp. Comes up. Now this ramp is, yeah, because now this can come down this way actually. It's this ramp here. And this is the reds, right? Yeah. So now this ramp can come down this way. See that? So now this is backhandable. This is forehandable into this ramp. This is backhandable. This is forehandable into this flipper. This orbit is really fucking low. It's still really low. There's no question about that. But you can get it because I widened this out quite a bit. And it's actually a transfer now to the left flipper instead of right down to this typical right flipper. Then this middle shot here brings you around, which is fine. And then this back shot here, I want to loop around the pumpkin. In front of the ramp and into this. Yes, this definitely overcomplicates things, but I think the flow is going to be a lot better. So much for a simple game. All right. That comes into here. Right? So now the flow that you can get, you can do orbit inner around, orbit, inner around, orbit, inner around, which is great. Then this flipper, you can loop around itself. You can loop in here, or you can loop back to the other flipper over around, transfer. So yeah, there's a good amount of flow, and then orbit to the left flipper. Okay, I'm liking that more. I'm liking this a lot more. I don't know, what do you all think? Anyone watching right now? What do you all think about this so far? Now, with this also on the street level, I 100%, oops, I didn't want to do that. I can 100% now add another target here, because I have the space for that. Just barely, but I do. And because of how this orbit works, I can move this target down a little bit. And I can have space for a target over here. I can do that now. This is just going to be rubber right there. So if I can fit a target there, maybe I will fit an up-facing target. It's a little weird, but this flipper can certainly get it. Yeah, I'm kind of satisfied with this layout. So when I say things are more complicated than I really wanted, I have a bunch of different ramps I need to move, right? And they're multi-part ramps. So only this left green ramp and lower right green ramp are these pre-made pieces. Are these guys. This back ramp and this orbit ramp, I mean, they can be flat metal. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's easy enough to do. This section here really can't be. But this whole piece from, let's go to here. This whole piece all the way down to here, from here all the way to here, or even all the way over to here, that can be one giant ramp that is mounted like right here. That the apex mount point is like right there, and this is all curved. Because if this has an apex mount point here, and this post right here is maybe a mount point, this section all along here, I can still model flat because the ramp will flex when I install it. So I don't need to make a curve. So that simplifies this. It's just a large ramp. And large ramps can have issues when I form them. And then this section over here, this ramp, you know, problem with this ramp is when I form these ramps using black material, you won't be able to see this exit. You won't be able to see this exit. You won't be able to see like this section here. So some of these ramps, and this section here actually, because of how it's curved here, this whole section here can flex down easily enough, and with a mount point here and on that side, and then somewhere over here, like wherever I figure out where this orbit actually goes, is I could have this curve up a little bit more and then a sneak in. That would be kind of neat, actually. If I go to the street, again, this is adding complexity, where I don't want complexity, but I can always pull things out. So if this curves up here, and there's a drop in, no, there's not enough space for that. No, there really isn't, because this ramp isn't gonna be high enough for that. Yeah, this ramp isn't gonna be high enough for that. I can't do. Never mind. And anyways, when I figure out where this orbit actually goes, because technically I can smooth this orbit even more, right? Just so long as it works well, like with this curve and with this entry point, right? Um, so there can be an apex point over here, and there can be an apex point like over here. I can have posts like right there, and then this whole thing can flex and curve down, which works fine. Again, simplifying the ramp. It's still just a very long ramp. And because it's over on the side, I can make sure it's not something you need to necessarily see, except this section down here. Um, this section down, you can't see. This section, you can't see that either. And that blends in too much. This section down here and this section right here, it blocks your view. This blocks your view too, but that doesn't matter because once you shoot up there, it's fine anyways. So who cares? This section here is critical for the out lane, and this section here is critical for the out lane. So those are the two problem sections that I might need to use bent metal for, so I can make more of a lattice type design, so you can kind of see in here. I don't want to try to do a habit trail, because manually making habit trails is a pain in the ass. But if I have to, I have to. But I'm kind of happy with this layout. It meets the needs that I kind of wanted to do. Again, the only potential problem spot that I might be able to alleviate once I get it into CAD is this right orbit is really, really low. But that's probably fine. This is yeah. Top ramps. That's not how you spell ramps. Why is this capitalized now? All right. This meets my flow criteria, which now no longer lines up, but that's fine. Let's high top ramps. What's this extreme? Oh, that's just that. I can get rid of this now. So this street work looks pretty good. Yeah. that. Target over there. I'm not gonna be able to get a target over here anymore. So honestly, that's just gonna be a rubber and an adjustment post probably, because this curves in a bit. Yeah, yeah, like that. Um, Now the launch lane. What am I gonna do about the launch lane? So the nice thing about this orbit is this orbit's gonna bring you right to the upper flipper right at the start of the game. So the orbit's going to bring you right to the upper flipper in the start of the game, which is nice. The launch ramp. I mean, I don't know. I could just do the simple thing and just put a diagonal piece of metal right there, right? It probably makes sense to do it here. And it just drops you right in. That's probably what I'll do. That's the simplest thing. Okay, so yeah, this is the street. There's 4 targets here. I don't think I'm going to make them drop targets. I think I'm going to just make them regular targets. I still don't have a capture device. That's what my big debate was. The capture device. That's the left ramp, right? Yeah. I have a down post on the left ramp. Alright, yeah, the capture device will be the left ramp. Getting tired. So when you complete your modes or want to start something, you go use the left ramp. Accessible from both left and right flippers. This inner ramp is only accessible from the upper flipper now, which is fine. So you have your full loop around and around. All right, I think I'm satisfied with this. At least as a pencil sketch first pass. And again, once I get it into CAD, I can probably find more spots for more targets, and I can probably adjust spacings so things are better, right? Really, the pumpkin is the largest thing. This is 7-inch round. For those remembering, that's what this guy is. He's 7-inch round on the bottom. So I have to accommodate him with how he rotate, with a little extra space with how he rotates and everything. And honestly, what I'll probably do is chop off the back bulbous part a little bit from some of these pumpkins, because it's just going to be foliage and it can be an access point for the inner pieces. Because I do want the servos on the eyes and everything. And there needs to be enough space underneath for the mouth to open up, open and close. Why is the schematic Oh no, there's just the pages. Yeah, just the page load. The schematic is not lower. Okay. All right. So next stream on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, I'm gonna get this into CAD and I'm gonna start modeling it for realsies. Maybe in a couple weeks by mid-November, I'll have a model good enough for me to CNC and make a first cut on. Yeah, so this is a three flipper, one trough, one auto plunger, and I'm not gonna have an actual plunger on this. I think it's just gonna be an auto plunger. It's a hell of a lot cheaper to do that. Like the Williams Pinball 2000s type of auto plunger. It's like a $40 device compared to the the plunger that had, or the auto shooter that has the plunger in there. That's like a $70 device plus another $40 plunger. That's like $100 for that versus 40. So it's just going to be a regular auto shooter with no plunger. Trough, which is a couple $100 for the WPC 95 trough, fast boards and such. So you're looking at about around $220 for down here. Each flipper mech is about $50, so that's $150 for that. The targets are, they average around $7 each, and right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 targets times $7 is around $50, give or take. No, 60. It's closer to $60. So just all those things alone, I'm looking at about $300 bill of material, $400 bill of material, 240, no, $500 bill of materials just for all that. That doesn't count all the posts and all the plastic I need for the ramps and the guides. So that's, I'm still within my bill of material range, I think. The biggest unknown, which I'll know about once I start designing it in a couple weeks, is the whole pumpkin assembly and how much that's going to cost. The pumpkin itself is about $10, $14, something like that. All the mechanics around it and the servos around it and everything, this could end up being like a $200 device for this thing, which, is important and it's worth putting the money into, but that is something to keep in mind. So now you're looking at like $700 for all of this, maybe 800 with everything. And it still doesn't have a shit ton of things compared to some other tables. But if I can meet the $700, $800 price tag with this playfield, that gives me plenty of money left over for the wiring, all the different indicators, inserts, LEDs and things, and boards for it. And then the cabinet alone usually runs around $2,000, give or take, between the cabinet, the wood, all the stuff. Oh, and don't forget playfield art. That's ranges between $100 and $300 depending on where I go. So it's gonna be tight keeping it in my $4,000 to $4,500 bill of material budget for this, but we're kind of getting there. These are a big saver, having these things. So thank you, Marco, for providing a lot of these for homebrews that I took well advantage of. And I think that's it for now. I hope some of you learned some things. Some of you enjoyed this. If you're watching this in the post live viewings, be it on Strictly Custom or on my website, my web page, my YouTube page. God, it's late. My YouTube page, Lynn's Custom Pins. Then I hope you get something out of this, and with my design process and how I think about things these days, and what I do to help kind of get the initial sketches down for things. And yeah, this is a simpler layout. It's definitely not one of my more complex ones, but the same process is there. It just means more massaging with some things. Anyways, I'll see y'all.